My name is Gregory Mwaura Ngugi, a counseling psychologist by profession, and I want to talk about mental health and what really it is. When we look at mental health, it's a very important item in our lives. One, because it indicates how we will live our lives, how I live my life, and this is first of it is understanding that mental health is to do with the health of the brain. When we are talking about mental health also, we have to understand that the brain is the center point of the world, i.e. it is the interface between my internal environment and my external environment. Either, then I will not be healthy, both physically, emotionally, socially, how I will relate with people, economically, how I will relate with my money or how I will work or make money, spiritually, how I will conceive my concept of deity, and even morally and ethics, because when we do something, there is a question of guilt. So when we talk about mental health, it encompasses the functionability of a person, first of all, as an individual. We call it intra, as an individual. And it has a context, i.e. what is my age? If I'm a 20-year-old man or a 20 or a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old man, do I have the maturity and do I have the correct functionability in terms of that age? It is good to have surpassed the competencies than to have a shortfall of it at that context in terms of your age as an individual. In terms of intra-conversation, in terms of am I able to sleep? For me, it's a very, very important item when we come to mental health. More than 6 hours. If you don't sleep more than 6 hours, prepare time and money to take to the doctor. That is one. Two, the information processing. When something is said or when I look at something, am I able to get a deeper meaning of it? Am I able to understand? Am I able to really get the meaning out of it? Another very important item is concentration and attention. If I find myself in an office or I find myself driving and my mind is veering away from who I am, from my present context, then there is a problem with myself. And that is why you need to constantly interrogate yourself. Am I present? Where are my energies? etc, etc, etc. So for me, it's very, very, very important. Am I able to feed? When you find yourself eating more or eating less, then there is a challenge with you, and this is anchored to your mental health. It is the foundation of your health. It is the foundation of every item of your health. Mental health, never joke with it. That is the brain. It controls the interface. You didn't tell yourself. There are two sides of the brain. The side of the brain that controls your normal faculties, and the other one that controls now your way of thinking. The brain is the greatest organ in your body. Take care of it. So basically, that is mental health towards an individual, towards a society. It is proper functioning of the society. Do we have a proper functioning of the society? If you look at our society today, it's really worrying because mental health, we've reduced it. There is a lot of stigma that comes with talking about mental health. And I guess who should seek mental health? I think it's every one of us. I have found some of my clients, when they're celebrating their birthdays, they want to do 10 sessions. They want to meet someone and really ask, have that intra-conversation with themselves. So including our kids, including our senior citizens. So for me, mental health is for everyone, not specifically for people who are under either psychiatric care, but mental health is for everyone to actually ensure that we enhance the quality of life and the intensity of life that we are living as a society, because it is truly worrying. So I think for me, mental health, I would look at the proper functionability of a person and also his or her own maturity and also proper functioning of the society in terms of conflict resolution, in terms of development, in terms of even conflict resolution. How are the families, issues of drugs and substance abuse, So basically those issues revolves around, and even my interaction with myself in terms of mental health in relation to men. And I want us to look at men in a progressive way, and in a quite expanded way. As we have said about mental health, it's proper functioning and maturity of the person, and also this particular person to thrive in the society. So when we are talking about men, before possibly you become a man, there is possibly the formative years. For me, what comes in our socialization, in our civilization, there is a lot of wounds that men are growing up with. There are lots of doubts that men are growing up to. Why am I saying this? Because if we go back to many of the men, one, you will find that possibly the structure of the family has actually changed. You will see some men really growing from in a single family, maybe the mother alone, the father alone. So a balanced society, a balanced person has to have both the softer side and the harder side for you to internalize yourself in the right way, because it is us socializing with you that we make you who we are. So I'm seeing especially to do with men, I'm seeing a lot of wounds. Some men have really grown with a lot of wounds that are coming from their childhood, and when wounds are there, especially from the childhood, if you have a wounded child, you'll never ever be functional. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I will tell you for a fact. That is one. So the second item, when a man is 10 years, there is a very great importance to introduce this particular person to a fellow man for mentorship. Allow me to use this analogy. When a girl is 10 to 12 years, she is bought for a small bag, and she's given a lipstick or a lip balm and possibly a sanitary towel. What do we give the man? So the importance of a man to have actually a mentor. Who can I go and stay with? Ask question. And how are we raised? For me, the question of socialization, as a man, we are never told to express our emotions. Our emotions are very irrelevant. We are told you have to be a man. And when you look at the definition of what we are giving the manhood, is actually toxic. I should not be in tune with my emotions. I should not be emotionally intelligent. No, we need to actually allow men to be in touch with their emotions, and for them, let them cry. They will come and really mature up as they move on. So at the adolescent, from the childhood, if there are no wounds to do with the self, the family configuration is very okay. It's a very conducive place. Possibly we can look at the parenting of the boy child. At the adolescent, this is where now the second rebirth of a human being happens. Does this particular young man have a mentor? Parents, kindly, if you have a boy, both, it doesn't matter. You have to get a mentor for this particular man, because this is somebody who believes in the person. This is a person who questions. This is a person who is free with the person. They can actually have a honest conversation about human sexuality, about the future, about work, about relation of men and women, about dominance, about interaction and how do I interact. The different roles a man possibly are there because there are expectations of the society. So for me, that adolescent period from 12 years all the way to 18, 19 years, for me, they are very, very important in the formative of the man. One, if this man was not validated when he was young, if he looked for validation in other things, that is why you see some men are spendthrifts. That is why some men will actually thrive in groups, but these groups are very toxic, and all of these particular group members are parasites. But you find this particular man there. That is why you see some of us in clubs that you cannot really resist, because that is where your validation is being met. That is a great problem. If I was not recognized from my family of origin, I didn't matter. I will look for relevance somewhere else. And that is why you see either of us have I will go into some sports, I go and I lack balance. So for me, that one can be a challenge, and nurturing is another thing. So there is need for this particular man, possibly at the adolescent level, and this is what will actually come out. Be nurtured to the manhood. So for me, it's very, very, very important. If you're not nurtured, that is how we see identity confusion in a man, i.e., I don't know my career, I don't know which orientation, because essentially, and allow me to challenge those particular men and those particular families that have the first and the second and the third are girls, then the boy child or the boy comes the third or the fourth child. That boy needs to be looked at, because if you're not careful, we would lose this particular boy. Will not understand himself, and the kind of relationship we'll have with the woman is actually that which of being dominated, because right from home he was dominated by sisters because they were a bit older than him. So essentially he'll find himself in the relationships of very, very, very powerful women, and this particular person wants to be dominated. That's why we look at issues of drugs and substance abuse, especially being rampant in men, because of also lack of identity and even sexual orientation. We are seeing some deviations of it. So that is towards some things in a nutshell. And men, especially the boy child, need to be assisted in actually settling in a career, because that's a very, very, very important milestone when it comes to mental health. Fast forward, what kind of relationships are they forming? Do I really understand myself? Because from 20 years as a man, I have to differentiate from my family of origin, because the world, the way it was few years from today and what it is here now, there is totally different. So I have to differentiate from home. Differentiating is questioning the kind of precepts or the kind of ideas my family of origin has actually granted me. Then afterwards, I'm able to actually pick some and disregard some, and come and really form a philosophy or a way of doing things in a way that I am thriving as an individual in a certain society. We call it intimacy between self and the environment. And this one is actually seen in around 20 to 25 years. So for me, it's very, very, very important to differentiate and integrate, because I will have a sense of self. The greatest struggle we are having here and now when it comes to mental health is a sense of somebodyness. Who am I? Why am I in this particular world? How do I define myself? And this question, I have to actually keep answering it daily, because life is unfolding. And the second question is, why am I alive in this world? The meaning of life. If these two aspects of life are not well integrated and well formed, I will struggle, and my mental health will be compromised. So the kind of relationships that possibly we will form will actually be determined by our childhood. That is 1. 2, our adolescent. 3, our young adulthood. Have I differentiated and have I integrated? Men in a family. When you look at men in a family, things have changed. We are finding ourselves in a very progressive society with a very powerful woman. And actually, I will tell men, it's a high time we go back to ourselves and we look at our own capacity. Are we building our own selves? Are we building our own capacity? Are we doing personal development to be able to be with an equally empowered woman? If we're not doing it, it will be a struggle. I.e., don't ever be cheated. Any relationship is a power, there is a power struggle. And if I'm the custodian of power, if you look at marriage and family, a man is only powerful the first 25 years of your marriage. From there, you actually get a double dose of what you invested. So the question is, when I am the custodian of power as a man in the particular family, do I use it to develop the family? Do I use it to actually make sure everybody in the family is actually thriving in their different areas, i.e. my kids? Do I have a relationship with my kids? Do I have a good relationship with my spouse? Do I have a good relationship with my family, with the extended family? Because at the end of the day, this particular family has to meet their own needs. So for me, it's very, very, very important as a man to understand my role and to actually continue building my own capacity as a man to be able to actually handle daily activities and define myself very well. Who am I and why am I in the world? So the functionability of the family is actually so much anchored on the functionability of the partners first. If I'm a functional partner as a man, then there is a higher possibility I'll get a functioning lady in my life, and this particular family will actually thrive. If I become dysfunctional, there is no way I can have a functional lady. And if I have a functional lady, there is no way I can be functional as a man. So there is no shortcut about it. So there is need to really help our young men to actually understand how to establish relationships, how to maintain relationships, and how to thrive in the quality of life we live as men. So for me, it's very, 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 very important to look at it. Specifically for men, when we look at our genetic makeup, we have testosterone, which is quite aggressive. If I don't do personal development, I will not be able to master myself. I will not be able to identify my potential and maximize on it. If I don't do personal development, I'll become a problem to myself and to the society as a man. So for me, it doesn't matter, you have to do personal development. It's something that we can talk about, personal development, the whole day. It can be a topic for another day, personal development for a man and self-care. You have to take care of yourself and you have to develop yourself. You don't become a problem. Statistics. In every 6 men, in every 6 individuals, Kenyans, 4 of them have issues to do with mental health. Specifically, men are more. Let me substantiate. In our referral hospital, it has 14 wards, and only 3 of them are occupied by ladies, and they don't sleep. Their conditions there are very good because they are very few. But in the men's ward, they are the majority, and actually conditions there are quite of a challenge. So men, kindly let's look at ourselves. If you look at even the clubs, past 9 p.m., if you find yourself asking for beer, then you're not a social drinker. There is something wrong with you. If you look at our prisons, we have more prisons for men than women, because essentially we have failed ourselves. Yes, we have been failed, but we have failed ourselves because, yes, we have to take personal responsibility, which is for me very, very, very important when it comes to mental health. So as men, we have to really take care of ourselves. As men, we have to really develop ourselves to be able to progress. To the sunset, the psychological well-being of the man. Kindly make sure that you retire with liquid money. Make sure you have money in your retirement as a man. Because I shared, this time power has shifted from you as a man. 60 years, you're not powerful. Your wife becomes a matriarch. She determines how it will be. So if you're not with the family, if you didn't have a relationship with your kids, then here you are actually alone plus 60 years. So for me as a man, when it comes to sunset, make sure that you retire with liquid money. Money that is yours, money that you can actually take care of yourself. That is 1. 2, make sure that when you're growing up or when you're progressively growing, you take care of your people. They'll take care of you when you grow young. When you grow old, if you don't take care of them, nobody will be there for you. You will be a loner, and it will be actually be a great, great challenge. Maintain your relationships, both professional and unprofessional. Move closer to your family. Make sure that your family is functional, and things will be. And also kids, motivate them, be closer to them. It's a cycle. You're looking at them you're caring for them now. At the sunset, they will care for you. So for me, as a man, you really need to look at yourself. And when you look at issues of drugs and substance abuse to do with men, it is rampant. Why? We are failing to take care of ourselves. We are failing to develop ourselves and to do self-care. So, just a bit of self-care for a man. As a man, you have to make sure that daily you you exercise 20 minutes. 4 items, 4 principles that you have to do each and every day in terms of self-care as a man. 1, you have to make sure that you feed very well. You look at your nutrition. Plus 40 years, you need a lot of zinc to actually maintain your prostate. Very, very important. Feeding is an item of mental health. Another very important, you have to sleep for more than 6 hours. If you don't sleep for more than 6 hours, prepare time and money to actually make sure that you go and take to the doctor. Another very important thing is rest. You have to rest. You have to rest very, 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 very well. You have to take some time and be off work and possibly have time to rest so that you can rejuvenate yourself. The last one is exercise. You have to exercise both vascular and muscles, at the same time flexibility. For me, that's very, very important. You have to do it. This is daily. Another very important thing, you have to always interrogate your thoughts. Are you wallowing in thought distortions? There are 13 of them. So you have to actually understand yourself in terms of the way you think. Are you thinking rationally? Are you thinking critically? So for me, it's very, very important. Garbage in, garbage out. And we have said the brain is the most important organ in your body. So you have to actually check the way you think. Another very important thing is who you are relating with. Are you a parasite? Or you are establishing mutual and transformative relationship with the people around you in terms of networking, in terms of how do I communicate? Do I communicate with values? Am I humble? Who am I as a person? So for me, very, very important in terms of your social. The first relationship is with yourself. The second relationship is with the world. In terms of spirituality, for me, spirituality is very, very important. The many people that have mental health, even the spiritual leaders and even great people, is because possibly they have a concept of deity that really serves them. Another very important thing is your morals. What can you do when we are not seeing you and when we are seeing you? So for me, morals are very, very important. You have to actually interrogate yourself and see what can you do and what can you do, because guilt is an item of psychological well-being. Anger, there are so many feelings in terms of feelings. Emotions, you have to be emotionally intelligent as a man. If you're not emotionally intelligent as a man, you're in for it. You will not be able to actually have a functional family. You will not be able to have a functional office, or even you will not be able to do business or even maintain some work. You'll always have challenge because you're not emotionally intelligent. You have to manage your money. You have to manage your money as a man. As a man, you have to manage your money, and you have to know that possibly you have only few years to make money. And finally, suppose God grants you 80 years, 90 years, you will stay 30 years, 30 good years without a single paycheck. So you have to take care of yourself in terms of economically. So for me, as a man, and I'm talking to every man, the importance of somebodyness. Know you're the most important person in the world. Take care of yourself, develop yourself, and take care of yourself. They said that the best war and the greatest war cannot be won outside. It can only be won from the inside. You have what it takes as a person. It doesn't matter what is happening in your life. You have what it takes, and for me, you can go for it and you can conquer the world. So thank you so much.